Hi everyone. In this video, we're going to be talking about how to do the R Markdown practice test. So how to get it onto your computer, how to properly open it, and then how to do the assignment. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to go into Learn and find the folder for the assignment, which should be under the assignments folder. You can likely also find it in the weekly folder for the second week of class. When you download it, it is going to go to your downloads folder on your computer. So I've just opened up the downloads folder on my computer, and you can see this here, R Markdown Practice Test. And you notice that it has this little zipper on it. That means the file has been zipped. Whenever I share a file with you or a project for an assignment in this class, I'm going to zip the folder because I'm not going to be sending one piece of information to you. I'm going to be sending you a whole folder full of things. So the first thing we want to do is unzip it. Most computers, that's as easy as double clicking. Now it's going to extract it, and I'm going to see I now have this folder called R Markdown Practice Test, but it doesn't have the zipper on it. So this is the folder we want. So what we're going to do is we want to get this into a sensible place on our computer. The downloads folder is not a sensible place on our computer. So first things first, I'm going to copy this. You can either right click and copy. You can go Control-C when it's highlighted to copy, or Command-C if you're on a Mac. Now on my computer, my files are stored on the D drive. So you can see I have a bunch of folders here. Now I made a folder for myself called 3000. So I suggest that on your computer you make a folder called 3000 or Stat 3000, and all of the projects that you're going to work on, you're going to make a folder for each separate project. I will often give you the whole entire folder, and you're going to put all of these folders in your Stat 3000. So Command-Shift-New is the command on a PC. Control-Shift-N is the command on a PC. It's either Command-N or Command-Shift-N on a Mac. So I'm going to open this up, and now I'm going to paste. So Control-V or Command-V, and now that folder is going to appear. Let's open it up. So we'll notice that inside of it, there's this history file, there's something called an R project, there's the .rmd file, so this is the actual assignment you're working on, and there's an image file because we're including an image in the assignment as well. Now, you might be tempted to try and work on your assignment by opening this .rmd file. That is not a good workflow process. When you're using RStudio, you want to get used to using projects. So when I set up a folder for you, I'm always going to link a project file to that folder, but I will show you how to create your own if ever you are making your own project for this class or for another class. So to show you how this works, what I'm going to do is I am going to bring up my RStudio right now, and you can see what it looks like, and then we'll show you what my RStudio looks like after we open our project file. Hi, so currently on my RStudio, when I open it, I have this file open, test.rmd. You can see just a whole bunch of files on my computer. Now we're going to see what, and notice here it says project none. That means I don't have a project open. So let's see what happens when I go and I click on that R project file. Okay, so I bring up my file folders, and now let's click on that R project and see what happens in my RStudio. Right now, my RStudio is going to open up another window, and you see here where it used to say Project None, it now says my R Markdown Practice Test. And we'll also see that here, instead of all the random files on my computer, it has us pointed to the R Markdown Practice Test folder with all the files that are in it. So something that we can do is a quick check. Look what happens when I find out my working directory. So to figure out where R is looking for your files, you can use the command getwd with the empty open round brackets. So notice it's pointed at my D drive, that 3000 folder, the R Markdown Practice Test folder. Now here's the thing, when I made that project, I actually made it on my laptop, and the command to find the folder was something like users, jtcon, Google Drive, class notes, stat 3000, assignments, assignment 1 or R Markdown practice test, it was a really long folder. And that's where on my laptop, the R project was aimed at. However, when I open it on my desktop computer where I'm recording this, when I hit the Open R project, it's going to point it to wherever you happen to put that folder on your computer. So you're going to notice if you type in this get working directory on your computer, it's not going to say d:/3000 R Markdown practice test unless you happen to have set it up exactly like me. It will be wherever it was that you put it on the computer. So this is the nice thing, that I can work on this on my home computer. As long as I put in a project, I can send it to you. You can open it on your computer, and there's no confusion about where the files are. You never have to worry about writing long file paths. It's always going to look in this folder. Now, sometimes you're going to have subfolders where you want to look at things, and we'll talk about that in a later lesson. But for now, the idea is projects are always going to point things to the correct directory. That's why we don't want to open up the file, because your working directory could be anywhere. If you open up the project, your working directory is going to be specifically the folder that you put it in. If ever you want to go and start a project in another class, my working order that I suggest is make a folder for the class or whatever, and then for each individual project you want, make a separate folder that's reasonably named. So in your chemistry lab, maybe you have a folder lab 1, lab 2, lab 3. Then when you want to work on your lab 1, what you're going to do in R is open up RStudio and go File and pick New Project from the menu. Then say that you want to put that new project into the lab 1 folder. Now whenever you want to work on your lab 1, go in your file directory, click on the R project, and your R is going to open up a screen that has exactly the folders for your lab 1 in exactly the right place. And then when you're done working on lab 1, you can close the project by going File, Close Project. And now say you want to go and work back on your STAT 3000, well, go to my folder, find the folder, and open the project in that folder. And now you'll have all of the settings and files that you want for that project that you're working on. Projects, they're awesome. Make use of them. Okay, now that we have that settled, let's go and actually look at the assignment. So it's this .r markdown file. So let's look at this. So you'll see I have a document set up here. So first things first, it says under author and date, put your name here, put your date here. So please put your information, not mine. Your name's not Jenna Ticon. So Jenna G. Ticon is my name. And today's date, it happens to be September 11th, 2020 when I'm recording this. September 11th, 2020. Now let's take a look at the instructions. So follow all directions in this document. Click on the knit button to change this into a PDF document. So our knit button is right here. I would suggest hitting knit after every change you make to make sure it turns into a PDF. When you are done, upload both the .rmd file and the knitted PDF file to the assignment folder in Learn. You'll receive 2 marks towards your reflection participation grade for correctly completing the assignment by Friday, September 25th at 11:59 p.m. Please don't wait till the last moment. Do this now because you're going to need the skill for your first assignment. The due date's just that late to accommodate the add drop date for the class. Alright, so let's test this. So it says we should knit after every change that we make, and we just added the author and date. So to be sure, let's do a knit right now and see what is going to come up. Alright, so we see that my PDF now came up and whatever my viewer is, and it has my name and my date here at the top. Alright, so the next thing here, we see this thing, it says replace this text with a section heading. Notice how this is in bold and bigger than the rest of the test. Well, let's see what this looks like in the R Markdown file. So if we go back to here, we're going to notice that this is beside 2 pound signs. Well, the pound signs in R, these are used to denote section headings. So the more of them you have, the more of a subsection it's going to be. So let's replace this text with a section heading. Let's just call this R Markdown Practice. Feel free to call it whatever you want as long as it's appropriate. Okay, now this says delete this entire line and write one fact about yourself. Now notice it's in green and it's in between these arrow things. Now it says to delete the whole line, not the text. So just to show you something, I'm going to only delete the text. So fact about me, I like pineapple on my pizza. Please make it a fact about yourself. You're welcome to tell me you like pineapple on your pizza, but you better not be faking that you like pineapple on your pizza. You don't win brownie points for lying about pizza preferences with me. So let's knit this. And notice it doesn't appear here. There's nowhere under that R Markdown Practice, which is now the subject heading, that says I like pineapple on my pizza. Boo. Okay, so let's close that. And now let's take off those arrows. And notice the text goes black. And now when I knit it, what's going to happen? Let's zoom in. It says I like pineapple on my pizza. So if we're between those arrow things and it's in green, comment it out and it won't appear. It's notes to ourself. So here's a comment. Make sure the file slopechange.png is in the same folder as your Markdown practice test, and the image should appear when we knit. And yeah, remember when we knitted this document, we saw that picture of a regression line something or other there, so the image did appear. As a side note, there's another way you can add images to your R Markdown. You don't need to put this in your assignment, but just to show you, we can go exclamation mark, square brackets, round brackets, and then type the name of the file. So it will suggest it as long as it's in your working directory. So slopechange.png was in my working directory. And so you know it works because it'll give you a preview of what the file looks like if you've used the command right. So let's just delete that. We know that's going to work. And here it says delete this entire line and replace it with the command for the pi symbol. Hint, Greek letters are a backslash followed by the name of the symbol between dollar signs. So when I want to put math into my folder, if it's in line, so in a sentence or something, I will put it between dollar signs. We will put it between something else if we want it on its own separate line, but for now, it just wants us to show the pi symbol. So it said we should put it between dollar sign. It said hint, Greek symbols are easy. It's backslash times the name of the symbol. And notice this pi appeared. If I have used a correct LaTeX command, it will appear. And if I've gone away from it, I can still mouse over it and it will appear. So I know that I've picked the correct command here. Great. If you're looking for other math symbols, it's easy to just Google pi in LaTeX, L-A-T-E-X. That's what you would want to Google. I also have a document in the R Markdown resources of almost any math symbol you could possibly want to use. So let's knit this and let's make sure we get pi. Zoom hence. And under that slope change, there's now a pi here. Great. Okay, so now let's do this next bit here. So we have 3 backticks, curly braces are curly braces, and ending with 3 backticks. So that's going to be our command to say anything between here is our code. So I've added some code here that says, let's make an object called X. Arrow says, let's assign it to B. The C says a vector. So this is our function for making a vector. Round brackets, what we want to apply that vector making function to, it's going to be these numbers. So this command will make an object called X that is a vector that contains these numbers. Now this says delete this entire line and replace it with the command mean X. So again, in R, function name, round brackets, inside what you want to apply the function to. So this will find us the mean or the average of this vector X. Now note, we said normally the pound sign is going to make a subject heading. Unless you're in the middle of an R environment with the backticks, then it's going to be a comment. Okay, so let's delete this, replace it with mean X. Now let's see what happens when I knit this document. Zoom hence. We are going to see So here in the slightly grayer box, it has my R code. And then underneath it, it is going to say the output. So the mean of X is what we calculated. So it will calculate the mean and print it out, which is 9.2 repeating. And that's how we put in our code into our document. And that will be the end of actually making our assignment. So our code between the backticks, curly braces R, $signs to put in math symbols. We can use include graphics or the exclamation mark, square brackets, round brackets to put in an image. And we use that, what are we looking at right here? The arrow with the exclamation mark on the left-hand side, no exclamation on the right. We'll put in a comment, and we use the pound symbols to make our subject headings. All right, so you're going to notice now that in that folder, suddenly there appears R Markdown Practice Test -f20.pdf. So it's the same thing as the .rmd file name, only made as a PDF. Let's just do a quick check to show that this is in our file folder. So quickly, we notice now that in this folder, there is now a PDF. So when you're going to hand in your assignment, you're going to want to provide me both with the .rmd file and with the .pdf file. And that is what you're going to be doing. Side note, if you had problems with this and you needed to share with me your document so that I could help you, the correct thing to do would be to go back to your R Markdown Practice Test file, or let's go into this 3000 directory, and then zip this folder and send the whole folder to me. You could also use your university OneDrive to share a folder with me, because you want me to open it in the .proj. You don't want me to open your .rmd file because you want it to be open to the correct location on my personal computer. So you'd want to send the whole folder to me. I will open it. I could look, suggest an edit, or figure out what's wrong, tell you what's wrong, or edit it and send you the folder back, which you'll replace your folder with. And that's kind of the working process that we're going to have for helping each other back and forth when you have problems. You want to send someone your whole project so that they can work on it properly on their own home computer. So just to show you, it won't be open yet, so I can't show you 100% what to do, but if we go into our Stat 3000, I have this set to student view. We can go to assessments, assignments, and then when the date comes, this will open, and there be a clickable link here that you can click into and upload to. Because the midterm formula is open, just to show you what it would look like, so when the link becomes available to this, when you want to go and upload it, you would click on this link, but for now I will click on the midterm just to show you what happens. It's going to say submit assignment here. You're going to add file. You're going to add both the .rmd and the .pdf, and if you need to leave a comment to me here, you can put it here. Most of the times you're not going to need a comment, but feel free if you need to. And that is going to be how you're going to submit your assignment. So good luck, and please, please, please come and talk to me if you have any issues. Don't forget, I also have another video about the basics of making R Markdown files, or you could look at the video from class 2 where we go over making R Markdown files.